Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my first impressions plus on-feet video of the brand new Nike MagistaX Proximo Street in both the indoor and turf variations. Now inside the box they do include a string bag to go along with the shoes themselves. The string bag, as you guys can see, is black in color with black strings. It features a white and black Nike swoosh on the front that matches the shoes, and your white Nike football branding on the back. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at both the indoor as well as the turf variations of the MagistaX Proximo Street. Now this is a shoe that honestly I wasn't overly excited about. I knew it was going to be a mid-cut Flyknit indoor and turf variation of the Magista Obra, but I will say that the street model is significantly different than what I was expecting, and actually a shoe that I'm quite excited about. In today's video, we're going to be going over all of the details and tech specs that you should know about the MagistaX Proximo Street. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around, and if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, check out the review page on my website. It'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you will be able to pick these up right now below their normal $150 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below in the description. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. Before we go into the details on this guy right here, I want to clear up some things regarding the launch of the MagistaX line, because I don't think Nike has been as clear as they should have been with this initial launch. So we have two different colorways right here. They both retail for $150 US. They're both available in indoor as well as turf variations, but they're actually two very different shoes, at least when you're talking about the upper. Now this shoe in black is technically the MagistaX Proximo Street, whereas this shoe in orange is technically the MagistaX Proximo. No street in the name whatsoever. So the name's different. What does that actually mean? The MagistaX Proximo, which there will be a video on tomorrow, is very close to a stock Magista Obra upper with some minor tweaks that make it more geared towards being an indoor or turf shoe, whereas the Proximo X Street actually has leather on top of the Flyknit upper, which changes the feel of the shoe completely. So if you were planning on picking up either of these two shoes, just know that there's a significant difference not only in the colorways, but also in the makeup of the upper. So if you didn't know that, now you know. And again, there will be a detailed video on the regular Proximo tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. So, tech specs. What do you need to know about the MagistaX Proximo Street? Essentially, at its core, it is still a Flyknit Magista Obra upper. You get the more structured Flyknit pattern running through the main area of the foot, the brio cables that run from the base of the sole into the lacing system. So when you do pull those laces tight, you get that nice secure sensation across your entire foot. It does, of course, have the mid-cut design in the form of the dynamic fit collar. That's a much more stretchy, kind of forgiving type of Flyknit material. You have that same stretchy Flyknit running through the middle of the shoe where the laces are positioned. But what's unique about the Proximo Street is the leather that Nike has stretched over top of what is about 70 to 65% of the shoe, I would say. Now the leather itself isn't really specified. They just call it premium leather. When they say that, it normally just means some form of calfskin, but it's so thin and so soft that honestly it doesn't really matter. The quality feels absolutely fine to me. You can see that it's really interesting in that it is a leather upper, but it's on top of the Flyknit. So you still get to see that Magista Obra Flyknit pattern through the leather itself. That's how thin it is, and that's how tightly it's kind of I guess stitched or glued or pressed to the upper itself. I'm not really sure how they were able to do this. Now the amount of leather you get is actually pretty good as well. Now the rear portion of the shoe does not have any leather. It has a leather grain finish, but what it looks like is they've fused on a top layer of what would normally be Nike skin, but it's just a synthetic leather type of material. Whereas from the lateral side here, you can see the actual stitching where they did put in the leather. It goes around the Nike swoosh, which is a little bit unusual, running through the forefoot, the toe box area, and then cutting off at this point right here on the medial side, again being stitched around the actual Nike swoosh. That is a very thin layer of leather, and hopefully you guys can see the little seam right there. It's very, very minimal. And again, they managed to do this without adding much bulk to the shoe whatsoever. So how does this impact touch and feel when it comes to comparing it to a standard pair of Magista Obras that just have a straight up Flyknit upper with the Nike skin covering? Basically what it does is it adds that little bit of extra padding. Actually kind of took these out for 20 minutes or so and just did a little bit of juggling and just playing around with the shoes in general. And I have to say I was really, really impressed with how they felt. I was a little bit worried at first that there would be too many layers and it would just take away from the feel altogether. You of course do have the structured Flyknit material underneath that lining the inside of the shoe is a slight bit of extra padding. And then of course you have the leather on top of the Flyknit. Essentially what it does is it just makes for a more dampened touch on the ball in comparison to a standard pair of Obras. Not quite as thin, a little bit more padded, and a little bit more natural in terms of just having that leather finish on the surface, which I personally really like. I would love to see something like this in the form of an outdoor Magista Obra, but who knows what Nike has planned for the future. This is really interesting though, and something that gets me excited about testing these out. It also does have ACC on the upper, which isn't a huge thing, I don't think, considering that this is an indoor or turf shoe. You're less likely to be playing in wet weather playing conditions with this type of footwear, but should you happen to be playing in wet weather in either of these two shoes, the indoor or turf models, it will provide pretty decent grip on the ball in wet weather playing condition, if it's anything else like Nike's other ACC models. Now this being the street variation is definitely going to be a lot more durable on concrete and any kind of rough abrasive surface. So if durability is your main goal at the end of the day, over everything else, I think that the street model of the Proximo is definitely going to be the better option for you. For the sake of durability, not only do you have that extra layer of leather protecting the Flyknit material itself, you also have this suede material stitched on top, running through the entire forefoot and toe box area, kind of right where the sole meets the upper itself, as you guys can see. Speaking of other elements about this shoe, again, dynamic fit collar, internal plastic heel counter. It does actually have a heel liner in there as well, just like you would find on a standard pair of Magista Obras. The insole itself is just like standard Magista Obras as well, fully removable, mesh liner on top, perforations throughout, and a single layer of this yellow foam material. And then moving on to the midsole, that's where you're going to get their new Lunar Lawn midsole that, again, you're going to find on both the indoor and turf variations of the Proximo Street, as well as the regular Proximo of the MagistaX. So it's a Lunar Lawn foam material that you see on a lot of their high-end running shoes. It's going to provide a much more cushion sensation than what you're going to find from the Mercurial X or even the Elastico lineup, which is obviously what the Mercurial X line has replaced. It's a very soft, kind of absorbent foam, but at the same time it has a nice responsive feel as well. It'll feel a little bit stiff at first, but after a couple hours of break-in time, it will soften up and just feel a lot more responsive as well. With that being said, as you guys can see, it does have some decent thickness to it, so these are not going to be nearly as low profile as, again, the Mercurial X line, as well as the Elastico line, if that is what you're coming from. So just keep that in mind. I personally don't mind the extra bulk to the insole itself. It's still low profile. It's not going to provide any issues with stability or anything like that. I just like the little bit of extra underfoot cushioning, but at the end of the day, it is really all about personal preference. You also have a really significant lip going around the front area of the shoe, which I think is going to be great for durability. This is all solid rubber. You can see it does have some texturing there, which I suppose could provide some extra grip on the ball, but it's just a solid wall of rubber, and you have the same thing happening on both the indoor and turf variations. So again, as far as durability and longevity is concerned, especially if you are planning on using these for street soccer, these should both hold up really well. As far as the bottoms are concerned, this is the indoor model. It features pretty much the same pattern that you're going to find, or that we did see on the Mercurial Elastico Superfly, as well as the Elastico Finale 3. They really didn't change anything at all, and that's okay. The performance on those was pretty good, and I expect it to be pretty good with these as well. You can see you have this interesting pattern here. The rubber itself is relatively firm. It does have some pliability to it, but again, it's going to hold up well on indoor courts or on concrete or streets, and whatever you want to use it on. The indoor model would definitely be the best variation if you are planning on using these for street soccer, but of course they do also offer it in a turf model as well. So if you are playing on turf, even on artificial grass, on AG fields it's not going to be particularly aggressive, but on artificial grass the traction is really good. You have obviously these little nubs. Not necessarily ideal for indoor, but I suppose you could use it on concrete. You will find that these would wear away pretty quickly. So again, the indoor model would definitely be the better option if you are going to be using them for street soccer. But again, if you're using them for indoor or on turf, they do offer two different variations that both perform very well when it comes to traction. Again, no real variation here. It's pretty much just carryover traction patterns from what we saw on the Elastico line that obviously they've transferred onto the MagistaX models as well. So very interesting pair of shoes, the Proximo Street. Again, keep in mind that the Proximo Street is different from the standard MagistaX Proximo. So if you are planning on picking up either of those two shoes, just make sure that you get the one that you want, because like I said, they are very different from each other. As far as weight is concerned, the MagistaX Proximo Street is not particularly light in either the indoor or turf variation. So I'm going to weigh them for you today in real time. Keep in mind that these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9.5 US. We'll start off with the indoor model, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 10.05 ounces, which is the equivalent of 285 grams. Change the scale back to ounces. Pull them off, and we'll throw on the turf variation, and you can see that they weigh in at 10.4 ounces, just a little bit more, which is the equivalent of 295 grams. So as you guys can see, neither of these two shoes are particularly light. Is that something that is a downside or a negative? Not necessarily. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. They didn't feel particularly heavy on feet at all. And 10 ounces, that's going to be lighter than most running shoes, believe it or not. So you have to take into consideration that it does have a thicker cushioning through the midsole. It does have a solid amount of rubber, especially across the entire lip of the forefoot and toe box area. You get the extra suede, the extra leather on the upper. Not only is it going to offer a different feel than a standard pair of Magista Obras, which due to that extra material will add some weight, I really feel like they did take durability into consideration with this model, so longevity should not be an issue either. So as long as you're not looking for something that's really low profile and really lightweight, you shouldn't have any issues with the weight of the MagistaX Proximo Street. As far as the appearance of the MagistaX Proximo Street is concerned, they didn't stray too far away from the standard Magista Obra. It obviously has the exact same shape to it. The Nike swooshes are positioned in the same spot. You have a Nike swoosh on the lateral side and a Nike swoosh on the medial side that's of course a little bit smaller. Obviously the upper is mostly black in color. This has a unique kind of leather-like appearance to it, whereas the Nike swoosh as well as the rear portion of the shoe features reflective material and kind of a zigzag pattern. It's difficult for me to show you guys in video form, but I will flash an image on screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And under stadium lighting situations, or even if you're playing street soccer, if it's a little bit darker and you have street lights out, it will actually reflect the light and just have a pretty cool effect overall. So they're black and white shoes, which has a nice kind of classy look to them. They're not overly flashy, but like I said, in certain lighting situations, they reflect the light and can be a lot more flashy than you perhaps might expect. The laces have this kind of cool gray and black type of pattern in them. Black in the dynamic fit collar. You guys saw the insole was bright orange. You do have, of course, black in the suede here at the toe, and the entire midsole as well as the outsole on both the turf and indoor variations is solid white. So not too much color there. They kept things pretty simple, and honestly I quite like how these look. So let me know your opinions on them down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. Alright, so here is a look at the MagistaX Proximo Streets on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of premium white and black SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, check out the website sr4ulaces.com. It'll be linked in the description of this video. As far as how these things fit and feel on feet, they're very, very comfortable. They feel a lot like Magista Obras as far as their shape goes. I would say that they're even a touch wider. I know a lot of people are going to be confused with the leather on top of the Flyknit upper, asking if it will stretch, and the answer to that question is most likely not. The Flyknit itself won't stretch, so I don't expect the leather to stretch either. The only impact that's going to have on the shoe is not on the comfort, but on the actual feel of the ball, which is actually a really good thing. They feel, like I said, a lot like a standard pair of Magista Obras, despite the actual leather on the upper itself. Now it's a slightly different feel because it is an indoor bottom as opposed to a hard plastic sole plate. But with that being said, they are very, very comfortable with really minimum break-in time required. They feel really good from out of the box. Flexibility is nice. They have some good underfoot cushioning with the Lunarlon cushioning system. Again, it will get softer and just more responsive feeling over time as you break them in. But again, if you are looking for something that has a little bit more than nothing under your feet, like you'll get from the Elastico and the Mercurial X line, then this is definitely something that you may want to consider. As far as width goes, they're going to be suitable for most people. If you have really, really wide feet, maybe not the best option because you won't get much stretch out of these shoes. But like I said, these will fit most people quite comfortably. And as far as sizing is concerned, they run a half size small just like the rest of the Magista line. So instead of wearing my usual size 9 US, I bumped it up to a 9.5, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, go with the same size that you currently wear in your Magistas. Go a half size up from your current shoes in order to achieve the best possible fit. So So just keep that in mind. They do run a half size small. All right, guys, that's it for my first impressions of the Nike MagistaX Proximo Street. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with this shoe. You have to consider that a standard pair of Magista Obras is going to run you $275. You're getting the same upper here with some add-ons for $150 US, actually a little bit less if you check out the review page on my site. And as a value, it just seems pretty good. They're comfortable, they feel good, I like how they look. I'm really intrigued by the combination of Flyknit and leather on the upper. And overall, I'm just really excited to get some more time in these. Of course, I will be following up with a detailed written review on my website, soccerreviewsforyou.com. If you want to check out that review page right now, it'll be the very first link down below in the description. That's where the written review will be posted. And in the meantime, what you'll find there right now is buy it now links with the best prices online, including exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you can pick these guys up below their normal $150 retail price. So if you're interested in a pair, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions regarding the Proximo Street, let me know those questions down below in the comment section. I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.